Welcome back to your favorite show, Law and Order. We're discussing many more insightful areas, and today also a continuation of what we have discussed previously in the previous week, narcotics. Today also we are going to have a fruitful discussion, and we invited Mr. Prashant Lal, the Always President's Counsel, to do the honors. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Right. Sir, we discussed a good exposure actually indeed for our viewers about narcotics. We explained in and out what the amendments that have come into play in the current proceedings and what people should do, and even moving a little bit apart from law, we discussed certain consequences and the stories related to these types of narcotics. And today let's discuss about this trial and rehabilitation. Let's speak about the trial first and move ahead.
Yes. Charit, if you take trial,
yes,
Sri Lanka or any part of the world, you must have a trial before conviction. So when a charge is read to a person, you have to either plead guilty or basically go to trial. Say plead not guilty.
Yes.
Now you can't plead guilty for a case where your sentence is death sentence. Now, all these offences that most of the narcotics, high kind of quantity is death sentence or death sentence. So you can't really plead guilty in that sense. Yet I have to yet find a person who attempted to plead guilty. There have been instances in murder cases where the accused has tried to plead guilty and that was not accepted. I've yet to see, I may be wrong, but I don't know any part of the other areas, but my experience is that you don't plead, you're not pleaded guilty for cases of this nature. So when you say plead not guilty, you start with the trial. Now the trial is very interesting. It talks about possession. It talks about trading. Now here, before we discussed on the last day, and I can just summarize again, in 2000 Act number 41, it came into effect on 23rd of November last year, few months back. In that kind of scenario, earlier they used the word trading, they used the word possession, but now they have defined what trading is. If you take trading, it covers a lot larger area: sell, purchase, store, give, distribute. Like that, they have defined so many areas. So when you distribute, when you store, you are trading. Right? You sell, you import. All that is coming under trading. So they have defined it. So the prosecution has to prove that you are a trader. Now, the law will not excuse any time one who is trading, because he is doing for monetary gain. He wants to earn out of it by putting people in misery, people in suffering long term by using these kind of narcotics. You are putting a person in jeopardy for the rest, not only one individual. I kill you, Charity, I only kill one. A trader of this kind of narcotics killed a generation. So it has to have a severe punishment. So they have clearly, the amendment has brought this sole trader, one who trades or who does business, into one category, and that is there. So like say immigration, the earlier one who tried to go with a false passport or whatever without a visa is distinct with a facilitator, one who does it for business. Likewise here too, they made a very clear distinction here: one who trades, one who imports, one who exports. Because I want you to appreciate, this is a transnational crime. Heroin is manufactured in some other area, like Afghanistan or for that matter any other country. And Sri Lanka, regrettably, is regarded being an island and a ocean around it has been found as a distributing point. Now that's the danger. We may not consume, but we are a distributing point. So when you look at from a world point of view, when you take it from a transnational point of view, Sri Lanka becomes vital, and therefore the whole world is watching us. So because these are mostly imported, it's not easy to import on a plane, you can't carry easily a large quantity. But then this kind of large quantity, which is very valuable in millions and billions, in fact.
Yes.
In a large haul, we can call it a billion kind of value. So those are brought in boats, hidden in a container, in a big vehicle or whatever.
Yes.
So this is the issue here. So the prosecution in a trial of that nature will have to prove these facts.
It's not trading.
Trading, importing, all that has to be proven, unlike a normal case where you are possessing. Possessing, very simple. No? I possess this book.
Yes.
Right? Now when I have it here, I possess. But if it is here, I've just given an example.
Yes.
This book is possessed by both of us.
Both of us.
I can't say in the center, this is mine.
Yes.
Right? Only. Except the police comes here, say this is the heroin. If it is on the table, when you take possession, it is both of you, Charit and I. That's where on the last date also you post a question, interesting question. Right? If heroin is found on a table in your boarding room, you are sharing with another two friends, brought in by one guy.
Yes.
He is only the one who is using. But regrettably, you call it exclusive possession, it is possessed by three of us, three of you, this heroin.
Yes.
So that's a danger. That is where the police will take a statement from you and say, it is Prasantala or me who has brought it, not me. So you escape. Then you have to give evidence against me, your best friend.
Right. That is the point of betrayal.
Exactly, point of betrayal.
Yes.
Right? So that evidence, investigator will take, if there are many in the room, they will take evidence by all and lead all that. So to society, what I want to say here, like what we stressed at the last program, is that when you have this kind of a situation, right, you have friends. Friends have fun. You want to have fun together. So as we all discuss every time, not knowing the law is not excuse.
Yes.
Even a poor sellamma and a arnolist in a village who can't even read and write, no literacy, must know the regulation in the law. Right? And that's what we say, rule of law. Because if we take, my knowledge of law, I never knew the law, you can't have basically the rule of law. So that is why it is maybe unfair when you take that kind of a social context. But therefore, I cannot say, when I find heroin here, I never knew the law.
Right.
So when you are with friends or together, when you know this is happening, this can happen. It has happened to many, many people, even some of my friends.
Yes.
Right? They are being hauled up, taken out, unless you give a statement, and you have to give evidence against your best friend perhaps.
So is it the same way that how an accomplice behaves in a certain criminal matter?
Yeah, very interesting question. Now, accomplice is you and I have done together.
Yes.
So accomplice is a definition is that you and I can be charged together.
Yes.
Now, prosecution can't file a case and win the case without your evidence, because only you and I know.
Right.
So they will make you a state witness, we call it. Give you a pardon. Attorney General will give you a pardon.
Right.
And you come as a witness. Now, your evidence is against me, but our evidence ordinance section 114 says you are unworthy of credit unless it is proved within a material point. What does it mean? It means that because you are going to lie now, no?
Yes.
You want to escape, putting the whole blame on me.
Yes.
So then whatever your story, important points, the prosecution must prove with other evidence, other independent evidence, Charit.
Right.
So that can be relied upon. Otherwise, you will always try to implicate me and put me in trouble and save you. That's a normal human being, nature, conduct, behavior.
Yes.
So therefore, the law is also very sharp. They will say, it's called 114 presumption in evidence ordinance. The law will say, you have to prove these important points by other evidence, supporting it.
Right.
Right. So whatever you narrate, you need the investigators must lead evidence to support your view, what you are saying against me.
Right.
So these are the safeguards you have in the law, which is very crucial in the law.
Right.
So that is what you are referred to.
Right. So it's different from what we expect here. Like, so you yourself have bought this piece of heroin, and I'm just giving evidence against you. So will the police or the investigators or the courts will consider about my credibility at the moment?
Of course. There are, you are an accomplice in a different sense. Accomplice is that you have actively taken part. There must be evidence to show that you and I actively, but if you are just there, say you were sleeping. When the police comes in, you were sleeping in the boarding room.
Right.
That guy was smoking or he had smoke here. Now you were sleeping. So you can't call yourself a real accomplice. But then your evidence has to be led to say that, it's not mine, but it is his.
Yes, right. So when it comes to this point of trial, sir, you mentioned about trading position. So trading, it's like a huge offense, and it kills generations, according to your words and what you have explained.
Of course.
In that case, sir, trading is much severe.
Yeah.
So for trading and keeping that in possession, the degree of punishment vary.
Yeah, very interesting question.
Yes.
That is where, very good question, is because if it is a lesser amount, even a magistrate can punish.
Right.
You don't get that severe punishment. Now imagine if I have the threshold as we saw on bail, you have to get bail if it is 10 of pure heroin. If I trade or this, you have to go to the Court of Appeal. And if it is less than 10 grams, then of course you go to the High Court. As we discussed on the last day, Court of Appeal means you have to come to Colombo. High Court means you have to go to the province. So it has made it difficult. Similarly, imagine you have 10 kilograms or more, you are not simply a one who smokes.
Yes.
It can't be I won't call it in a way it is an innocent smoker who smokes has in a small wrapper, small bit of it.
Yes.
Now he is a smoker. You can't compare him with a guy who is having 20 grams and more.
Yes.
So there must be a distinction in punishment, and that is there. So here, when I'm smoker, and we can discuss later about rehabilitation, I have to be rehabilitated, not punished. Not punished.
Right.
So that's the process that is there, which we can discuss.
Yes, and in certain cases, in certain murder, crimes and everything, we try to reduce the degree of punishment by saying certain reduce, like for example, if I have committed a murder, it's like the grave and sudden provocation, depriving the power of self-control. The statutes mention those words. So in this case, if suppose honestly, I myself been trading and I want to reduce this punishment and everything, so I'm going to reduce this thing as if it was only mere possession. Is that happens in law?
Now the law, as you very interesting question, because we are talking about trading, distributing a large haul. So say in a boat it was arrested. You see many cases in a boat they found this whole thing in a fishing boat. Now that can't be smoking, no.
Yes.
That can't be possessing. Of course, it's possessing. For what purpose? It is for trading naturally,
purpose.
right? Except for a guy, say it is found in a party. Obviously, it is not exactly trading by the smokers, but one who organized the party, one who is selling that party. There have been instances where these eyes and things have been distributed by the organizers who have organized Facebook, shows and things like that, and they've gone there. So in that kind of a context, there is a very simple scenario. There is a distinction between a smoker who is possessing and the one who is trading.
Right. Okay. So it's very much clear. In certain cases, when it comes to factual circumstances, so we explain certain stories and certain scenarios. Now, yes, trading is worse, possession is worse, but not that much worse. When it compared to those two aspects, you might think, right, so I myself, I need to trade and I am keeping a certain quantity, and if I'm caught, I would say something and just say this is only mere possession. No, that cannot be done, because the law will recognize with other circumstances, and if you are onto a particular thing with clear distinguishable facts and evidence, you'll be definitely get caught. So don't try to involve in these illegal businesses. It's not just simply making money, but killing harming generations and generations, and you're going to put up yourselves. So that is not ethical as well, sir.
Absolutely.
So in that context, this is what we have to advise. So it's like a sensitive topic in a certain case, and an informative session for the public as well, sir, because
Shalit, as you said, it is not now. So if I kill you or I rape a girl, it's between he and she. Of course, it's a crime against society.
Yes.
That's why we are punishing.
Yes.
But here it's not individual. It's a society, as you put it. It's a generation. You kill the Sri Lanka, you kill people productivity.
Yes.
And every aspect, social, cultural, every aspect is affected when you are using narcotics.
Yeah, and simply 10 kilos emitted, like released out of myself, we don't know where it's been distributed.
Exactly.
To what age group.
Maybe your son.
Yes, exactly. Back again. And even our loved ones, we have to consider a lot during this concern. So narcotics, yes, it's a topic, and certain cases that we emphasize these things in our programs is these are not widely discussed, but they should be discussed in this awareness. As Prashantala also said, in certain cases rural people might not know the consequence. Sometimes it's unfair, but they must know. That is what they expect in the rule of law. So certain stories and many more things to discuss, and just we discuss about narcotics, a trial procedure, and how does it smoothly flow. So rehabilitation,
yes,
most important.
I will add a little bit of
yes.
interesting points that was made in 2023
yes.
is that, government analyst report, the whole case of a trial is based on the government analyst report. So if it is given 2 grams or less by a government analyst report, because it is a lesser amount, it is a prima facie evidence. And if I am challenging that, I have to prove it. Now that's interesting. That is something is unique in this law, which they brought in 2023. Normally the prosecution has to prove the case beyond reasonable doubt. It's a prosecution who has to prove against the accused. But here, especially the government analyst report, the expert evidence has to be, if accused has to challenge, he has to prove that it is wrong. So it's a very interesting, positive development to protect society. And also, they have put in a threshold of a trial within 12 months. Otherwise, bail can be given. Because what they are trying to do is, now earlier it took years and years, people were incarcerated. So they want to expedite trials within our Sri Lanka. The problem is loss delays. If you take up a murder or a rape, sometimes regrettably a rape case is heard after about 15-20 years. Then the girl is married, the accused is married, they have their children, and she is reluctant to come to court and give evidence. But here is not that kind of individual, but yet for all, the law delays is a very major issue in our country. So in that kind of a context, putting this threshold of a trial of 12 months is very vital, so that legal enforcement arm, Attorney General, the government analyst, the police, narcotics, they all will have to rally around. The other point, practical point, is a very sadly we saw narcotics officers are arrested for narcotics business, because we have to understand that narcotics, they buy that, if that can be sold outside, is very, very expensive. So I can put little powder to this as a narcotic officer and sell this out. And I earn money. So this is a dangerous area, unlike other murder. No, police can't murder another person, but here police can earn money here, the narcotics department. So that's another aspect, and therefore now there is a little black mark on the narcotics department. So the government and the narcotics department must now work very hard to take it away. So that's a very black mark, sadly, in the trial. So can I go on to rehabilitation?
Yes. We'll talk a bit more on that, because it's essential and vital. Sir.
Yes. Now, what is rehabilitation? Why we have this? Now, as we discussed, we have theories of punishment. We like to deter that person not doing it again, and deter society. That's why they say this is a death sentence. This is life sentence. So they know, people, the man knows if he does it, he is inside. The society knows that if he does it, he is inside, and therefore it is dangerous. But think of a man who is smoking, who at a young age, as we discussed in the earlier program, due to poverty, due to no hope, or a child who is in a middle class family or a rich family, who because of frustration losing, breaking up of a relationship. She or he can't hold it. Examination stress, you have failed the exam. And that kind of pressure leads to this kind of temporary relief. I use the word, I like to stress and use the word. This is temporary relief this narcotics brings you, but severe harm to you permanently. So that kind of a thing, sadly, regrettably, our Sri Lanka system, the education, doesn't have that kind of support system, fully fledged support system. So in that kind of a context, the best thing is rehabilitation. We have to rehabilitate. Now, earlier laws never had that. Now, if I am a murderer, I have to be again rehabilitated. I have done only once, so I must be rehabilitated and put to society so that he won't. The problem in heroin is, when you say convicted, you go to jail for 2 years and you go out. Regrettably, in the prison, it's a sad situation. There is narcotics inside.
Right.
It's common knowledge, and it has been found here in the prison. At the recent past, I have not seen, but it has happened long before. Not long before, somewhere before. So heroin can be found there inside. And when he walks out, the society, will he accept him? Right? Will a person give a job to him? Say, I want even as a servant in my home, kudukarya. So these are the issues that we have to work out. So when you are castigated as a kudukarya or a heroin guy, right, then what lost? He has nothing to gain rather than taking it again and establish that identity.
Yes.
He wants to say, okay, I'm a kudukarya, so what? So society has no place where he is rehabilitated. He is now want to change. Even in the temple, church, kovil, there is no system to bring them and say, all the religions is there to rehabilitate. Angulimala, the best example, he killed the 900 odd, Buddha rehabilitated him. So, but then we don't have a system such, you see. So, that's a problem we have here. So, this law, amendment of 2022 Act number 41, very interestingly bring in this concept. How? The first thing, if there is this child is below 18 years, now we are looking at a juvenile person, he will not be given a jail term. He will not be given not jail term, death sentence.
Death sentence.
He will not be given life sentence. So they are looking at a young person. So the amendment recognize a young person, because the majority are basically up to 20, young people who have got this. And just to give you like some data on this, if you take this whole scenario, education, most of them are school people. According to people who have done on research on this.
Yes.
Employment, most of them are self-employment, not government employed.
Yes.
They are like maybe a mason, maybe a laborer, self-employed,
Yes.
right? Majority, and most of them are single, not married, because then there is no responsibility, and most of them take heroin and ice, right? So here, that kind of a scenario, most of them are basically 20 to 30 years of age. That's basically the ones who have done the survey, who have found out of rehabilitated people. So in that kind of a context, Charit, we have to understand, right, it is crucial of rehabilitation. And here, below 18, you will not pass a death sentence. Thereby recognizing and giving hope by the law, giving a message to the young people, hey, come on, you have a chance to get out now. We will not give you, the society, the system will not give you death sentence because you to correct yourself. Then we have a very interesting one. In the rehabilitation, this law, the new amendment, If it is less than 1 kilogram, that means not a larger quantity.
Yes.
And if the accused is willing, now this is important, I want to go through rehabilitation. Then thirdly, the Attorney General decides, that's important, not to proceed with the case. So these three conditions are vital. I will repeat again,
yes,
for people, because this is very important, I think, for you, for this understanding, is that if it is less than 1 gram that is found, and you are willing to get rehabilitated, and you get the Attorney General not to prosecute, then you will not even be brought before court. There is no provision there. The police will send you to a doctor and see how habitually, how far you have got into this addiction, kind of a report. And with that, you will be referred to a rehabilitation center.
No matter of the age.
No matter of the age.
Right.
Very good question. So I think it's a very salient and a very interesting and important feature, that rehabilitation has been recognized by the law, which was not there early. The court has the discretion to do it, but it was not incorporated to the law. Now we have. So if it is less than 1 gram, they will get rehabilitated, because more than 1 gram means that you are a trader. I mean, then we have to go through the normal process.
Yes.
But if it is less than that, now these are the people who are using it, who are users, not traders, who are not having large quantity. 1 gram of heroin is about more than 1 million.
Yes.
Right? So it can't be a poor man.
Poor man.
He's a rich man. So in that kind of a context, right, this is very salient, very progressive, and a correct thing, because if it is a user, Charit, we must and we should rehabilitate. Whether that is Kandakadu, you can see these days there are issues. There was a problem, they were shot at, some people died, and they said this rehabilitation is not a proper one. So that's the issue, and the major issue that I spoke of earlier was that whether society will accept you, society will give you a job. So they must be trained and put into a system where maybe an entrepreneur, maybe a man who might change the whole world with entrepreneurship. That kind of in-depth rehabilitation is yet to be seen. So that's an area that we need to find out.
Yes. So with your explanation, sir, what I really found out, and the view of the viewers, like means they will be thinking in this manner that I would like to say, people who tend to use these narcotics, they might fall a trap. That means someone like compel them, or accidentally, or they without their proper awareness they have taken and got addicted to these toxic materials. So with that addiction, they have proceeded a certain time period and no way to escape. So at a certain point, getting caught by the law, so the authorities, now we are compelled to go in front of courts and do the legal proceedings. No. If it is below 1 gram, and if you are willing to rehabilitate yourself, and with the consequences, and Attorney General gives you the permission without prosecuting, you can proceed with rehabilitation. That will pave the way to make yourself, that means you can give the productivity back to the country. You can be an ordinary person without moving to the society after being leading a certain period of time in jail, just being like the heroin pet or something like that without a name. You can just have one of the unique personalities, and you can bring out what you really need in this context. That rehabilitation conveys a vital and important point. So as a council, and as a president's council, and as a person who are dealing with numerous and even management boards of universities and instructing students as the commander of St. John's, you have a wide exposure dealing with each and every kind of criminals, students, and many area. So convicting a person and putting him in jail, rehabilitation, you explained the real distinction between those two, and you said at a certain point rehabilitation should be strengthened more in order to give that productivity. So I want to emphasize that thing again to the general public, the importance of rehabilitation from your words.
Certainly. I think to me, if my son get into addiction, of heroin, that means as a parent I have failed. Let's start from there.
Yes.
Right, because I have not been very close to him or her, and I have neglected watching what happening with that, because in today's context, if I am going after money and trying to achieve success in my career and forgetting my responsibility as a parent, because it's a very competitive, difficult, complex world, I'm at fault.
Yes.
And society as a teacher, now I must say, I teach at the Columbia University and all that, but then yet to see one of my students taking heroin. Why? Because there is hope. Any student will end up as a lawyer. They're studying to be a lawyer. Now you started studying law.
Yes.
Did you ever want to have heroin? Because you have a hope in life.
Yes.
So this is the issue that I've seen as a teacher in the university, where there is hope. When there is no hope, and when there is only day-to-day living, like I spoke, day-to-day worker who has no future, long plans, and as I explained to you, these most of them are self-employment, and therefore with basic school education only, and also school dropouts. Our society has an issue there. And if we don't neglect this, we have to understand, if there are more heroin addicted people around, your life is in danger. Because when they can't get heroin, or whatever narcotics drugs, they will even kill you. They will even take your necklace away. So it's a collective responsibility of everyone to protect us from narcotics. And that's why I, as a policy, because as a lawyer, you know, we can't refuse cases.
Yes.
I don't take narcotics because possession, especially trading of narcotics, because that kills the society. So I'm fighting against it, and actually as a activist. So I can't ever accused in that kind of a
conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest. I can't really defend a case like that. So in that kind of a context, what I want to say is that in this kind of a context, it's the responsibility of everyone to be alert on this. But sadly, it is the politicians who are behind this. Because without political patronage, without and also direct support of the police, you cannot have this system run. Because we have intelligence. We have national intelligence, we have state intelligence, we have in all armed forces intelligence. Right? So if we can't wipe, Sri Lanka is a very small country. If we can easily wipe it out, and if there is a will of the politicians, we can wipe it out easily. So I humbly pray and appeal to politicians, let them debate whatever other issues, but on this issue, I think they should rally around and say, in a clear message, everyone, no narcotics. That's is a message. But I think Parliament 2022 Act number 41 sent that message.
Right.
So I think it's a very positive one in that kind of a context.
Yes. So within this discussion, sometimes I feel like this is onto some sort of medical aspects, because we always say like it kills person and everything. Sometimes it's a sensitive matter dealing with like these, the generations will die and you'll be following in certain consequences, and sometimes at the latter part it comes to the words and you emphasize the Amendment Act. We see really like apart from all those things, you can get medicine even in a certain place where you caught with a disease, but it's like ending up in a jail or being life sentenced. It's really hectic and you'll bother and you'll suffer the real life. It's like a disease, but it's when it come in front of law, it's really hectic, and you must understand the situation. These narcotics lead to such a thing. And so you mentioned about the word hope. Lack of hope will pave the way to indulge in those narcotics and use of those drugs, because most, as per the research facts that you have presented, the age group and even the self-employed or self-paid, the day paid workers, and they have no any families, mostly single, they lack hope. And even the hope a certain person might lose without knowing that. For example, one of your students studying law to become a lawyer, an attorney at law, so he uses heroin, but he has failed to understand or rather take the real thing what his hope is. So with the word hope as a counsel, what you can give?
I think in a good society, in a developed society, fully developed society, I think I can mention names like Finland, New Zealand.
Yes.
I will use Finland. Look at the education system. It's not a forceful education system. It's a very student-friendly education system that we have. And in that kind of a country, right, heroin addiction is almost nothing, yes. Right? Because people have hope. They want to have a good life. And I like to stress here, when there are young people can have sports, volleyball, cricket. I mean, these people don't smoke. Yes. They take their whole strength and whole energy out on a positive thing. There must be in areas, village, where music, art, culture is developed. Yes. People who involve in culture and all that don't take narcotics. They might take alcohol or cigarettes, yes. Right? But then, as we discussed in the first program, they're not as harmful as narcotics.
It's been regulated.
Regulated. That's the word exactly. Yes. You put the exact word. That's regulated, controlled with a certain mechanism because it's a choice. But this is no choice.
Yes.
So that's important, because I like to stress a very interesting point here, with your permission, and that is, say, in countries like Singapore and Malaysia, you will lose hope. When you are arrested, you would have seen, if you have flown that kind of flight, they openly, first thing they tell you in the card, even the immigration card, if you're found, your death sentence. Now, in Sri Lanka, though the death sentence is passed, you still have the hope to live.
Yes.
Right? Because death sentence from 1973, that was the last time a person was hanged, and that was there. So there was one president who tried to bring it back, but it was selective. He selected these are the people going to be hanged. Now, that can't be done. There must be a basis, there must be a system. And either you hang everyone or you can't be selective. Anyway, coming back to it.
Yes.
Now, if I always, when I take, say, people, naturally when you travel abroad, they come and say, Machan, can you take this to my mother, some parcel? I say, okay. So when the parcel is sealed, I open. It can be my best friend.
Yes.
And if I am giving a parcel to another friend, I will always take it to his home open.
Yes.
Now, these are very things that you must do in life. Right? You have to be alert, because, I mean, if you are carrying a bag, you can't say, my friend gave it, I never knew, when it is called with heroin. Yes. Right? So, if it is like powder kind of thing, I will say, I'm sorry. So, your friend will know that you are legal, law-abiding citizen. Yes. You are very alert. So, even I, again, like to repeat, when I have given parcels to my friends abroad, what I do is I go it open. Right? And if it is a toy, and say, Machan, this is it. And then in front of him, seal it and give it.
Yes.
So I think these are very important ones. Yes. Right? Because this is critical. This is transnational crimes. This is all over the world. And I repeat again what I said before. If I allow it, it can affect my child. Who knows? Karma, God wish, or whatever you name it, it can be karma, it can be God wish. It can be my closest who get affected, and then I'm devastated. I have no way to go. So this cannot be allowed, and this should not be allowed at any cost. And therefore, we have to take precautions that I said before.
Yes.
Because hope of a good life, a peaceful life, is what matters. So when it get into there, like what we discussed before, Charit, we must rehabilitate. We must be empathetic.
Yes.
We can't be hard and say, he did it, so let them go to hell. We must make him back again into society, if possible. Because these are people who, without hope, without a good system, who went through this.
Right. So, certain cases are there. There's a land case, you have to partition it. Now we are coming before courts and arguing on that matter. The balance of probability, saying this fact and that fact. Years and years, the litigation continues, and there are certain things. Heroin, narcotics get caught. It's not that kind of a thing. It's totally different, and for a partition case, you are not suffering a lot. It's just a mental torture, but narcotics is quite a different thing. So within this set of discussions, we want to emphasize that when it comes to that practice, we have to say some precautionary measures to as a law-abiding citizen and giving certain advices. So you have to take those precautions, simply not to lose hope, like just simple things as I said, delivering a parcel. Yes, you should know those things, and otherwise you can't say like I didn't know anything about this thing, it's just a parcel that one of my friends gave. You can't. In front of law you will be convicted, and it's totally irrelevant that you are not aware about such consequences. And so moving ahead with this discussion, we talked the most important factor, rehabilitation. And when a person is rehabilitated, and you previously explained that a person without rehabilitation and who was spending a certain time in jail and coming out, the way the society looks in. So I think within this discussion it's fruitful to advise the citizens as a President's Council to, in the manner that how they should look at a rehabilitated person.
Of course, it's very important because to me, I'm also without people with fault. At least in my mind, I do commit offences. I may think of killing a person. I may think of raping a girl. So we all, as Jesus said and Buddha said, none is faultless. You must pelt the stone if you are really right, had done no harm. Right? If you are really a sinner, everyone are sinners. So that is the first principle we need to understand. And when you look back, we have not done everything right. Somewhere down our life, we have done mistakes. That is the truth, eternal truth. And in that kind of a context, we have to understand even the drug rehabilitated person, he had made a mistake. And I believe that we should give him a chance again to live in society. I should take him to the job and of course take precautions at the beginning, but give him hope, give him life, and tell him that you are I'm like a father or a mother to you. Don't worry, try to be a good person, because people live on hope, people live on love. So these people truly want and they deserve love.
Right, they deserve love. So with that, sir, with that piece of advice, rehabilitation, the procedure trials are there, rehabilitation procedures are there. You can select where you want to proceed, but aware about the law regarding this narcotics and the certain consequences. And when a person is convicted, just there's a manner that you should look at them. Thank you very much, sir, President's Council, Albies, so for doing the honors regarding this narcotic, very important, sensitive topic, and giving more advices to the general public in a more conceptual and an elaborative manner. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching The Law and Order. Stay tuned for the rest of the programs. We'll be discussing more insightful topics in the future as well. Thank you very much for watching. Have a pleasant day.